Hello, readers. So, I am going to be discussing a book review of A Daughter in Spoken Bone. And let me just say that this book was pretty good. There's all sorts of elements of magic in this book that I really, really enjoyed. And the story itself really surprised me. So, this book is about a 12-year-old girl. She's a teenager. I believe she's 17 years old. She's awesome. She's this artist who lives in Prague, and she goes to the art school there. She also has blue hair. And there's so many details about her, but I kind of don't want to give it away. I want to have you guys enjoy some of those details if you decide to read this book. One of the so let me just say, when I first started this book, I was like, oh man, I thought that this was gonna be okay. So the book starts out and she's walking somewhere and she's talking to this guy who's flirting with her, and then you come to find out it's her ex-boyfriend, and he's kind of full of himself, and then she starts talking about how he cheated on her and these different things. So I'm like, oh man, don't tell me this book is about a young girl who gets cheated on and then she falls for him again or something, right? So I was like, of course I promised my readers that I was going to read it, so I gave this book a chance. So the book goes on to talk about just the relationship that she has with her friend who's also in the art school. And so when the book first mentioned Prague, it was talking about all like what the life of Prague would be like. So I know where Prague is. I've never been to Prague and I've never seen anything in Prague. So I started Googling and looking at videos of Prague. And then when the story started developing a little bit more, I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. I believe that magic would happen there. There's probably all kinds of really cool stuff that about that city that seems very old and mysterious. And the setting for that, because it is like between fantasy and an urban fantasy, so taking place like in city, like in our world, right? But then in so she goes to art school, and then during her art class she's drawing all these different kinds of creatures, right? And the her art teacher tells her how talented she is, and calls her work like fantasy work, or that's what I remember. And but when it delves more into her story, you begin to realize that those creatures that she's drawing are real, that they're basically her family. They're people she knows that raised her. And throughout the book, you're asking yourself all these questions about Karoo, like where does she come from? Like why do these creatures, so the creatures are called chimera. I had no idea what the heck a chimera was. I know, right? I read a lot of, or I thought that I was not, I'm not an expert in fantasy reading, but I thought I read enough to know what a chimera was. So I didn't. So I asked my daughter, and she's the one who told me that it's a Greek mythological creature that is either like half human and half something else, or it's a blend of two different creatures with like some human parts. So my daughter, she was really into Greek mythology in like junior high, so she read a lot of stories and a lot of history on Greek mythology. So I was happy to have her. There is also other creatures in this book that I won't give away because it's a really big part of the story, but another mythological or fantasy race or whatever creature are angels. So it's like, oh, okay, all right. So I'm not a big fan of um angels. So I don't know why, but I felt like it's been used a lot, and you always see angels playing this role of like the hero, and um just different things. I mean, So the creatures that who played the angels are they don't call them angels, they call them the seraphim. And there's a character in the book, his name is Akiva. So during the book it switches back and forth between Karoo and Akiva. Akiva's the angel and Karu's like the human girl who's living in Prague. But then you get more into the story, and you find out that Karoo, how is Karoo connected between these two worlds? And then you find out who her foster father is, and his name is Brimstone, and he's also a chimera creature. I won't give away what he looks like, but he's in the business of making wishes, of fulfilling wishes for people, different types of people, mythological and human. And the way Karoo is involved in that is she uses portal magic, or Brimstone, and uses portal magic to transport her. So if you don't know what portal magic is basically being transferred from one destination to another through a portal, right? So the portal can happen between worlds. The portals can happen between somewhere in a different place in Earth, like right now, to the whole another side of the Earth. So she is in the business of trafficking, not people, but magical or items that can be used for magic. And can you guess what that item is? And I freaked out when I found out what that item is. So I don't want to tell you. So I'm going to split this section into two. So you can choose to hear, I'll talk about it later, but I'll tell you when it's time for spoiler section. So she's collecting these magical items, or items that can be used for magic, to fulfill wishes. And when I first found out, I was like, what? Yeah, I freaked out kind of. So, and then you realize that Akiva's story leads into him and I think two other angels that he's close with trying to close these portals. So you don't know what's going on in the story, and most of the time you don't know what's going on. Like, you don't know where this girl is from, you don't know where Karoo is from, you don't know how she fits into the story with Brimstone and the chimeras. So you're just trying to figure out, like, it's just taking you on a really awesome adventure. And then in the beginning of the book, I'm like thinking, okay, this is a love story, because the first page, before you even start any chapter, it says, once upon a time, an angel and a devil fell in love. It did not end well. So I'm like, come on, man. Is this it? So I feel like and before I even read it, there's some star-crossed lovers going on in this whole book, right? And she's human, so you're like, okay, she's gonna fall in love with some kind of creature. But anyway, so you get into the story, and then I got really disappointed. So I was thinking, Akiva was gonna be is he gonna be a nemesis? Is he just part of the story, and maybe he's part of the story that she's working towards? I just had all these questions. And then that's what's really awesome about the author, about Laini Taylor, is the way she builds the world, the way she introduces the characters. It's just really awesome storytelling. It's not dumping detail upon details and just overloading you in what's going on in the story, or even with the characters. She feeds you bit by bit of the characters. Like, later on, you find out all these different details and stories about the creatures and the characters in this book, and the friendships that she has, and it's really awesome. So in terms of what is going on in the story, is that you have two groups of magical creatures going on. You have the angels, and then you have the chimera. So when there's a lot of really awesome myths and legends in this book, and it really was awesome to hear those stories being told, and from one viewpoint and to the next. And what I really, 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 really liked about this book is that Laini Taylor takes the book and the story in a totally different direction that I haven't ever seen it go before. That you're questioning your these characters, and you're trying to figure out who and what the heck is going on. And there was times in this book where I almost just was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not gonna sleep. I need to find out what's going on. So, but with this book, I have to say, so I probably will give this book 4 stars out of 5. And that's only because I feel like in the beginning of the book, I had an idea that the story was just gonna be um another love story, and I don't know. But you tricked me, Laini Taylor, but it's totally not. It's a really good book. It's a really good read. And also I felt that I could I couldn't relate to the character, but she reminded me of of people, like strong female girls like at that age that I know of. And so it was really awesome. This is a really awesome book. And um this book, oh my gosh. So I um this book ended on a total cliffhanger. So I recommend, if you are going to read this book, you probably might want to have the second one on hand. And that is because when this book ended, I was like, what? Wait, there has to be more pages in here. And I was like, come on, are you serious? Like, you're going to end the book like this? And I almost like, whoa, threw my book across the room. No joke. It's a paperback, so it probably wouldn't have damaged any walls, but still, that's what I felt like. And I actually got a really awesome message on my Facebook today, so thank you. I'm not going to mention who it is because I didn't ask for permission if I can mention them in this video, but they asked me if you could choose, now that you've read both books, The Black Witch and Daughter of Smoke and Bone, which one would you have read first? Like, which one did you like more? And I was like, well, okay, let me put it to you like this. This book, it was pretty good. I read it in about took me 3 days to finish. I took my time with the beginning of the book. Just, it's really easy to get into. The Black Witch wasn't as easy to start, but the characters that I was invested in the Black Witch, I really wanted to find out more about the relationships and what happens between the characters rather than the plot. So this one I could wait because even though it ended so strongly, and I had so many emotions with this book too. I think I cried probably twice in this book, and I am not ashamed to say that I did. Because I think it was just because of the relationship that she has with people who are her family, and that really yeah, I really connected to that. So the Black Witch is really good too, but if I were to pick, let's say if I could wave a magic wand and make a wish and totally forget what I read first, but just remembered, okay, I like the Black Witch more, then I probably would have read the Black Witch first still. Anyway, so I actually called the bookstore that I go to, that I visit, because they sell used books, and they are a local bookstore in Arizona, a small business, and I love them so much. And that bookstore is called Changing Hands bookstore. It's in Tempe, and they had the second and the third book to this on sale, so I bought both books, which completes this trilogy. So the second book that I'm probably going to be reading, but after I finish my reading list, is Days of Blood and Starlight. So I'll make sure to link the book review to this one once I get done reading that one. So what I have next coming up, but is An Ember in the Ashes, I think. That's what I'm reading next. So I still have to finish because I promised you guys that I'm gonna finish the book review for the Iron Flower, which is the second book for the Black Witch Chronicles, or yeah, Black Witch Chronicles, and I'll put that one up, and then I get started on Ember and Ashes, and then after that one I have a really big read, which is that huge, thick orange book, Priory of Orange Tree. So I heard, well, I was asking people online at my book groups, and they were saying it took them about 2 weeks to finish that book, just because there's so much detail and the world building is awesome, and just taking it all in and everything. So I am going to read that book. It'll probably take me 2 weeks to finish that book, and then I'll probably just do some more book reviews that I've already read in the past, just to show you guys what's all in my library and maybe what you guys might enjoy. Okay, so 4 stars out of 5. This is pretty good. The reading level is not that difficult. I think I probably placed this reading level at 6th or 7th grade, so it's a pretty fast read. I think you guys would like it. The romance in this book is pretty good. The magic in this book is really good. The stories, the mythology, the different types of magic that I haven't read before. I haven't read the types of magic in my other fantasy books like they have in here. So yeah, go read the book. It's pretty good. And then so I just want to say, you guys be safe, have a good day, have a good evening, and I hope you guys are all doing well, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.